Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our new student webinar. I just want to start off by saying congratulations on your admission to Boston University for the spring semester. We're so excited to welcome you for the spring. Hard to believe, but it's just a month away. If you can't hear me during the presentation, please let me know in the chat box and I can configure it now. You should be able to hear my voice going forward. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to submit those in the chat box, and I'll be addressing those towards the end of the presentation. So I'll leave plenty of time for any questions that you have. And just to cover a little bit about me, my name is Patrick Donahue. I work in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences as the Assistant Director of Master's Admission and Recruitment. In addition to working in our office, I am also a double alumni of BU, so I did my undergrad at BU and my master's program at the School of Public Health. So I've been around BU for about 10 years now. So just to talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today, the presentation, I'll cover a portion of the academics, what that process will look like in the upcoming month, a little bit about some of our on-campus student resources like our Career Development Center, some things about student life, one of which is probably most on your list is housing, which I'll talk a little bit about further in the presentation, submitting final transcripts, immunization records, and then for international students, what that process looks like in terms of documents and ISSO processing. So just a few numbers of interest. Boston University was named one of the most innovative national universities in US News Southern Report. This is 2018 and 2019. So this is something that you can engage with as current students. So one of the functionalities, one second, that we have that allows us to be innovative. Oh, it looks like there's some difficulty with hearing. Can everyone hear me okay? Please let me know if you can in the chat box. So I think we've gotten a few responses that they are able to hear the audio. Let me know if you're still not hearing it. Okay, so it looks like we should be okay. I'll also be recording the presentation, so it'll be available after we finish, so I can send that to you guys afterwards. So just on the topic of the innovative university, we have a recent development on campus called the Build Lab, which is an area where students can go and submit their ideas if they want to take that to a form of a product, or if they want to use that to run a company. They can go with their proposal from any different area and meet with specialists in there to walk through those programs. So we have a number of different initiatives on campus that help students prepare to be innovative in their selective fields. We have a large alumni network. We have over 358,000 career connections through those alumni. A lot of our departments have been around for a really long time, and they have a lot of really great established alumni connections. So those are things that you'll be able to tap into really soon. And then this is from last year, so looking at sort of our application process, we had more than 4,500 applications for 350 spots. So our programs are really competitive. So again, congratulations for being admitted. They are competitive programs, and you'll be able to tackle a lot of really great skills after you've graduated from the programs. Just to talk a little bit about some of our outcomes, these are alumni that we have from some of our past programs. The student on the left is Nico Skavoski, who graduated in 2010 from our economics program. Nico has had several company ventures. He now currently owns a company called Redox, which is a digital marketing company. And a lot of what he's been able to pursue after graduation is built upon the skills that he learned through the program. So taking those and being innovative in terms of developing his own products and his own companies. The student in the middle is Yifan Zhu, who graduated in 2017 from our Master of Arts in Economic Policy program. Yifan Zhu now works in Huawei Technologies over in Beijing. And a lot of those connections that she was able to get was through the connections that she made here at Boston University. And then the student on the right is Shane Hennessy, who graduated in 2017 from a Master of Arts in Remote Sensing and Geospatial Sciences program. And Shane now works for a company called Biogen, which is just right outside the Boston area. So in terms of job opportunities, we have students who have gone on to run their own businesses. We have students who have pursued job opportunities here in the US, and then students who have pursued them on a global range. And we have alumni from a lot of different countries across the US, across the globe. So there's lots of ways for students to engage with them and be able to pursue their potential path with those alumni. So just to talk a little bit more about the academic piece, every student will be assigned an advisor that they will meet with on a semesterly basis, at least, to talk about their academic plan. So for this upcoming spring semester, you'll meet with your advisor, and then you'll talk about what you'll be doing with your program. Typically, for most programs, they'll work with you to schedule your classes there. Some might provide an academic advising code, which you will use to then register through what we call the student link. And I just want to add too, the faculty and staff are really helpful. They're really key resources for our graduate students. So definitely feel free to utilize them throughout your time here. They'll probably be meeting with you pretty regularly as you move through the program. And then a little bit about sort of the experiential learning piece. A lot of our departments will have career events throughout the year specifically for their students. Our economics department does that pretty consistently throughout the year. Our computer science department offers what's called CS Day, which is an event where employers and alumni come onto campus to meet with current students, and that's just for computer science students. I know our bioinformatics program as well is really great about connecting students with internships in the area so that they can do that work while they're enrolling as a student. So all of our departments are really helpful in getting students the experience they need to gain skills before they go out into the field. And then even more broadly, the university itself offers a number of career workshops and panels, which I'll talk about in just a second. So on this page here, there are several links that you can use after I've sent out the presentation slides for the Center for Career Development, which will be a really helpful resource for you guys as well. The Center for Career Development hosts resume workshops, cover letter workshops, and then they also have a few resources specifically for international students where they have interview prep workshops, which might be very helpful. We have a tool called VMock as well, where students can upload their resume and get direct feedback about their resume in that session. So they can submit it and then they get it within 5 or 6 minutes. So I just want to talk a little bit about student life, so sort of transitioning into that area now. We will be having an upcoming winter social with events for our current students. So that will be happening sometime in January. And when that event is announced, you'll receive an invite to the winter social. And that will be time to sort of meet other students. Some of our staff members will be there, so you'll be able to meet with our staff members as well. And then just in terms of student resources, you'll also have access to a number of different resources through what's called Blackboard. And Blackboard is a portal where professors might list their course materials, but we also have a course on here for new incoming students that connects them to the various resources listed here, like the Center for Career Development, our student groups GWISE and GSO, FitRec, library, all those different good things. And just to talk a little bit about our student groups, we have a couple of them that our master's students can join. So there's the Graduate Student Organization, or GSO, which is for both PhD and master's students. They offer a number of events throughout the year. Some are social events, some are networking events, and then some are building professional competencies by bringing on lecturers or speakers for students to be able to meet with. So they offer really robust programming throughout the year. And then our Graduate Women in Science and Engineering, or GWISE, is a group that is in partnership with the College of Engineering, and they also offer a number of different events throughout the year for our students. And then in terms of department-specific groups, there's the Graduate Economics Association, the Earth and Environment Association, and what's called BUCASA, which is the Boston University student chapter of the American Statistical Association. Just to talk a little bit about housing options, we do have a couple of on-campus housing resources. There are two graduate student buildings, one of which is Peabody Hall, which is located in the Fenway area, just in the southern portion of campus. And the other is 580 Commonwealth Avenue, which is really close to our main academic building. Just as reference, our office is located at 705 Commonwealth Avenue. And in this building, there are a number of classrooms where students will typically have at least one class. So 580 Commonwealth Avenue is about a 5 to 6 minute walk from our building. So it's very convenient for our graduate students. And both Peabody Hall and 580 Commonwealth Avenue are all apartment styles. They're fully furnished. They come in a number of ranges in terms of their rent. So it might be anywhere from $700 a month to $900, depending on how many rooms are in there, the size of the room, and how many roommates students have. So I've also embedded links within here, which I'll send out after the presentation, so you can sort of explore those as well if you're still looking for housing options. And then in terms of the form, students would need to submit that before being considered for either of those halls. I will add that they do fill up pretty quickly. I know that a number of our fall students were looking for them. I believe their leases typically run for a year. So I would recommend just looking around and seeing what their availability sort of looks like, but also taking a look at our off-campus housing resource site. So that's specifically for BU students. You can set up a profile and meet up with students not just from BU, but from other colleges in the area who are also looking for roommates or apartments. So that's a really great resource. BU Rental Services, which has a number of different vacancies close to our campus, is also a really great resource. And then your academic department as well. They might be aware of students who are graduating or leaving and have a space in their apartment, so they can connect you with current students who might be looking for potential roommates. And if you haven't yet found housing, there's definitely still time. There are students who could sign a lease for January when they're starting then, and I know some housing options are flexible in terms of when students start as well. In terms of commuting, if you live just a little bit off campus in one of the nearby neighborhoods or across the river over in Cambridge, there's a couple different options. There is what we call the T, which is our public transportation system, which runs right through the middle of our campus. And this photo here is of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences with the T in the bottom left there. So individuals get trolley cards, and then they can load money onto it, which they can take the T if they want to. We have discounted transportation passes for the local bus and the T and other forms of transportation, which students can purchase through the student link. And then there's also the BU shuttle or the bus, which is a free service for all of our students that runs the length of our campus. So they can hop on that if they're over in Alston, which is a neighborhood that borders our campus. And that's a really easy way to get to campus pretty quickly in the morning. I will add that Boston's a pretty walkable city, so you don't necessarily need to have a form of commuting, but some students might find it helpful. And then in terms of the city of Boston, there's lots of really great things to do. There is shopping at the Prudential Center and Newbury Street, which is a 15 to 20 minute walk from our campus. There's lots of little shops along there. I know on Newbury Street, there's one called the Fairy Shop, which used to be the Harry Potter shop. I think it's now back to being the Fairy Shop, which has a number of like little smaller trinkets and other sort of stores along that are sort of fun along Newbury Street. We also have a number of sporting events like Fenway Park, which is shown in the top right. which is also very close to our campus. We have our Boston Celtics, which is our basketball team, which is located in the northern portion of the city, just a quick T ride away. And then the Boston Bruins, which is our hockey team, which is also located in the northern portion of our city. We have a number of centers for theater, music, and art, which are scattered throughout the city. A lot of times students can get free tickets to some of those venues. For example, the Museum of Fine Arts is free for all BU students, so they can go with their BU ID and get free tickets at any time, which is really helpful. It's a quick 20 to 25-minute walk away. I went a few times when I was a student, as they're constantly changing their exhibits, so it's really nice to kind of explore. If you have a free day and you're not really sure what to do, walking around the Museum of Fine Arts is always a nice thing. In terms of on-campus employment, there's a number of different resources that we have online, most of which are through the Student Link, which is the main student portal that you'll be using. Or if you meet with a faculty member who has a position in their lab or needs a teaching assistant, you could facilitate those conversations through them, and then they can help you walk through the process. There are a number of grading and teaching assistant positions depending on the department, so I'd recommend asking your staff coordinator to see what potential options are available. And those are really great for building your resume and gaining professional skills, even if they're not necessarily the exact job that you're looking to do upon graduation. Still really helpful to have on your resume. And then just shifting gears a little bit, you probably received an email about final transcripts. Students are required to submit final transcripts before enrolling for the spring. So final transcripts are official versions of your documents that you submitted when you applied, which would need to come to our office physically in a signed, sealed envelope from that institution. And those documents should be English translated. They should have a list of all of your completed coursework, and if you've received the degree should be listed on there as well as a conferred date. So just as a quick example, this is a fake transcript here from a US institution. So this would be coming, it might come through electronic transcript, which we do accept as well through several vendors. It has the student's first and last name, their date of birth, their list of their courses, the grades that they earned, and the area in the circle here is where their degree is conferred. So it says the name of the degree, when it was awarded, and basically officially says that the degree has been awarded. So that will be important for us to see for official final transcripts. If we get transcripts and the degree has not been conferred yet, they're not, from our perspective, final transcripts. So we would need to at some point see a degree certificate, or we could always make a copy of the student's diploma showing that they've actually earned that degree. You'll also need to complete your medical records and immunizations prior to enrolling for classes for the spring. It's one of the requirements of what we call compliance for each semester for students. So you'll need to submit those through the Student Health Services website, and I've linked them out through here. This deadline is for the fall students, so you can ignore that one. So you'll need to submit that by January 14th, I believe, but I can also check that and send it in the email after our presentation. So you'll want to go through the website, and it'll help you navigate that process. You'll create an account for a student portal, and then you'll just need to make sure you've submitted all the required documents from there. For our international students, I believe most of you have submitted your paperwork for I-20s. So we'll be shipping those via FedEx if you haven't received them yet, which will be sent via express mail. And then once you have them, you'll need to schedule your visa appointment. And if they ask for other required documentation, which sometimes happens, we're happy to provide that as well. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to facilitate any other documentation that they need. And then once that's all set, and you've arrived within the US, there will be a process to check in with the International Student and Scholars Office, or ISSO. In addition to your academic advisor, you'll be assigned an ISSO advisor, which will help you with tackling some of the immigration pieces. And then there will also be an orientation for spring students, which I sent out in the initial email, but you'll need to register for that orientation, which will be during the first week of classes. And then just to talk briefly about CPT and OPT, for our STEM programs, they're able to complete the extended OPT upon graduation. And then for some of our programs, if students are able to locate an internship which aligns with their curriculum, they can also complete CPT. Typically, that's organized by the student, and that works in conjunction with ISSO and the academic department. It's usually completed in the summer after their first year, or for spring students, it might be in that fall semester. I do have links built out here too, as well, to the ISSO pages, which have a little bit more information about what that process looks like from their side. So I just want to open it up to questions at this point. That did cover all the material that we were looking for today. Also, I know that I can sometimes speak a little fast, so if there's any topics that you felt like I sort of quickly talked through and you want more information about it, feel free to submit that in the chat box and I can cover it in a little bit more depth. So there's a question about transcripts. You can call if you want to. You can also send an email to grs@bu.edu or to my email address as well, which I have at the end of the presentation. Yeah, put that up here. So there's also a question about submitting the transcript in person. Yes, if you have it with you and it's signed and sealed, you can bring it with you when you arrive on campus and check in with our office when you arrive to submit them. So in terms of on-campus housing, the options that I listed are the ones that are available exclusively for graduate students. Typically, there's not a lot of space on campus for graduate students. That will also be contained in the real estate website and the housing website. So I recommend checking with them, but typically it's very limited for graduate students. It might be possible to register for classes before meeting with advisors. It kind of varies depending on your department. Some departments require that students meet with their advisors while they're going through the process. So I'd recommend just checking with your academic department to see. I know for our economic students, they will be meeting with the director of master's programs prior to advising and prior to registering classes. So in terms of medical insurance, if you're currently covered, you don't have to enroll in the Boston University medical insurance. When students register for full-time, they will be added the medical insurance charge. So if they don't want that charge, they can waive it as part of the requirement. But I believe they do have to have medical insurance. Yep, so you can visit ISO at any time if you have any questions about the process. You will be, they'll establish who your ISSO advisor will be, so you'll be able to contact them via email, or you can stop by their office and meet with them. There's a question about the payment plan. I know that there's been one in place for fall students. I don't know off the top of my head if they have it for spring, but I can take a look and then let you know after the presentation. So your BUID should have been in your, you might not have known at the time, the email that sent out your letter of admission. It should be on the top left or the top right. When you arrive on campus, you, after registering for classes, will meet with the BU Terrier Card office, and then you'll get your ID card there. You can also email grs@bu.edu, and they can let you know through there. The deadline to submit payment for the spring semester is January 17th, I believe. There are a couple different methods for payment. Typically, the most common is by credit card, which is through the Student Link. So under the Money Matters section, there will be the student account inquiry, and you won't have anything to pay until you've registered for classes. So once those are registered, you'll see tuition charges there, and then you can submit your payment through that page. Good question. So if you register after the 17th, you won't have to pay until you have tuition charges. So you wouldn't need to pay anything until that time, until you're actually registered. But after the 17th, you would then have charges which would be technically overdue. So you have to pay them once you've registered for classes at that time. It's a great question. In terms of choosing courses in other departments, it varies by your program. Typically, our departments are pretty flexible in terms of students enrolling courses that align with their career plan. So I know for our economics program, students can take that through the Western School of Business in our mathematics department, as long as it has approval from the director of the master's program. Typically, the tuition does not change. So the full-time rate, which is 12 credits or more, which is 3 to 4 classes, is the same across the board. So if you register for 3 of our courses and 1 other, it will still be the same price. For students who are enrolling on a part-time basis, it may vary depending on which school they take the class from, but the majority of the schools have the same cost. Yes. Yep. So if you were awarded the scholarship, which would have been contained within your letter of admission, that will be applied after classes were picked. So that will be appearing on your student account. So in terms of how many courses per semester, it does vary by the programs. Typically it's 4. I know for our computer science program, typically it's 3 courses. And each course is about 4 credits. So in terms of graduate or teaching assistantships, those can vary. Some offer scholarships, some do not. Typically, it would just be a stipend payment, which would go out to students on a weekly or monthly basis, which they could then use to cover other expenses. So I'm going to give just a few more minutes for any lingering questions. But I do want to remind you that you can reach out at any point during the process, even as current students, if you have questions. You'll be receiving my personal email soon enough with the information for the recording and the slides. Or if you had specific questions that I'll follow up on, I'll also include that in there. But feel free to reach out, even if it's a phone call or an email, whatever works best for you. So you should be getting access to your email soon. If you haven't yet gotten an email prompt for that, let me know and then I can follow up to get it. So you'll receive a link to set up your account and then you'll have access to your email from there. So most of our facilities will be open. It sort of varies depending on their schedule. So summer holidays, they're typically open, and I'm not sure which timelines you're thinking about during then. Winter holidays, they're open for select days. I know that they won't probably be open for Christmas Eve or Christmas, but they might be open other days during the winter break. Great. So I will conclude the presentation. Thank you guys for being a great audience. And again, I look forward to seeing you guys soon, just in a little over a month. And have a good holiday season.